I stumbled across a gap, an enormous gap, which was the guinea pig market, or rather the small pet market. And I literally I can remember Googling what's the next best thing. If I can get a dog, what is the best proxy to a dog? And Google came up with guinea pigs. And I was like, okay, interesting,
Wow. And so how do you feel then staying small? Because you have stayed very focused on guinea pigs. How do you feel that gives you an operational advantage?
The best way to express it is I am 100% relevant to a small community. If I was a general pet brand, I would be 1% relevant to millions of people. The beauty of having a business is that you can take it many places. You can transform it. You can make it evolve. You can try different things, right? And that's what excites me nowadays. Is like, okay, what can I do next if I want to take this to be like a multi 8-figure business? What does it take?
Hi, I'm James Johnson, founder and CEO coach, and this is the Peer Effect podcast, where your peers will tell you what's unlocking their 10 million plus business. My guest today is Clementine Schouteden, the founder and CEO of Kavee. They're an e-commerce business focused on premium guinea pig products. She's managed to bootstrap it across the UK, Europe, and the US. And today, we're going to be talking about how starting small can help you grow big. So Clem, welcome to Peer Effect.
Thank you.
Now, before we start, I've got to ask, what is with the metal detector?
Okay. So I have always been obsessed about, finding treasure. And the metal detector was my pandemic gift. At the time, I lived on the Isle of Wight, really close to a beach. And when lockdown happened, I figured this is the best time to get a metal detector. And I did find some really cool things. And I kind of draw a parallel between metal detection and building a business, because you are just finding gold, you're looking for gold, you're finding it sometimes. Often you don't find it at all. But it's this, concept that if you try hard enough, something will happen, something good will happen, you'll find something.
It's amazing. I feel it's very much into your background. So you started with sort of a PhD in genetics, and now with guinea pigs. Maybe talk us through sort of that transition as well.
Yeah, I know it can sound surprising, but there is a conducting, a theme, and the dots connect somewhere. So I was born an animal lover. I was always obsessed by animals and pets, and I constantly begging my parents for a dog. And they were not quite keen on a dog, but I did get all the other pets, like cats, hamsters, and all the other guys, basically, which I think gave me that kind of sensitivity to exotic pets. And I was always fascinated by biology in the natural world. So I decided to study biology purely out of passion. And I loved learning, and I loved school, and I wanted to do a PhD just because I never wanted to leave school. So I did as much studying as I could, really. But I finished my PhD, and I realized academia wasn't really for me. I was more of a tangible kind of real life person. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to solve problems. I wanted things to go fast. I wanted variety and diversity in my life. And I switched gears and I became a business consultant. So I joined McKinsey in 2014. And I absolutely fell in love with the world of business, in fact. Understanding what makes a business relevant, what makes a business resilient, what makes a business survive in a world that is constantly changing. How can a business stay, in touch with its customers and provide, constantly evolve their offering to preserve brand equity, brand value. I was completely in my world. And towards the end of my McKinsey career, I stumbled across a gap, an enormous gap, which was the guinea pig market, or rather the small pet market. I had guinea pigs myself. obviously still wanted a dog, but at that stage I was still craving, a dog.
Yeah.
But with the McKinsey lifestyle, traveling every week, it just wasn't possible. And I literally I can remember Googling what's the next best thing. If I can get a dog, what is the best proxy to a dog? And Google came up with guinea pigs. And I was like, okay, interesting, and they are like mini dogs. They're very expressive. Yeah, they're very expressive, very communicative. They can be very cuddly. They will interact with you during daytime. And they are a lot less maintenance than dogs. So I was like, cool, let's give it a shot. And I realized there was no cages that was big enough for guinea pigs to actually have a proper run, have a proper kind of move, naturally. And I was like, that is so cruel. That is so sad. And there was no way on earth my pets would have been given that life.
Yeah.
So I DIY'd myself my first cage, and I figured I could buy a few materials. So I invested £10,000 of my own savings.
Yeah.
And I bought a few things in China. And I went on Facebook at the time. It wasn't Meta, it was Facebook. I posted in a guinea pig owner forum. I posted about my cages, and I was like, I have these cool cages. They're quite big. They're great. Does anyone want one of those? And I remember a guy answered, and the money was transferred to my personal bank account, and I was absolutely amazed. And I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here.
Wow.
Yeah.
The only way the story would be better is actually you'd found the parts on a beach with your metal detector. If you could.
And I feel like I did literally stumble across this opportunity, and I wasn't looking for a big opportunity. And I think for a long time I was like, this is just a side thing. Obviously, it's only just guinea pig cages. And for a long time, I didn't have the ambition, or I didn't give myself the means to make it a big thing. And nowadays, I am definitely trying to make it a big thing. But it took me a bit of time to even realize how big the market was.
I mean, this is kind of niche of a niche, isn't it? So it's not even just small pets, it's guinea pigs. You started with cages. And so where did it grow from cages outwards, or how far has it grown from cages?
We've developed everything now you would need for housing. So the cage, the liners, the bedding, the beds, the accessories, all kind of the hard goods that you need to keep a guinea pig or 2 guinea pigs. We have expanded internationally. So we were born in Europe. We then conquered the UK and then conquered the USA. And we keep trying new things. We're constantly developing. We're looking after food and hay, which are a big consumable. We have developed cleaning products that are specific to our customer needs. There's a lot we could do still.
Wow. And so how do you feel then staying small? Because you have stayed very focused on guinea pigs. How do you feel that gives you an operational advantage?
In terms of having that focus, I think the best way to express it is I am 100% relevant to a small community. If I was a general pet brand, I would be 1% relevant to millions of people, you know? And I love that I can stand behind my products and say, this is a great product. It's going to literally change your pet's life. And, this has been a big part of 10 years of my life. And being able to know that you have such value, you have created such value, to me, that's important.
Because there must have been temptation at some point to go, okay, well, we've hit this growth point in guinea pigs. Do we go wider? Because you have gone international. What was that decision point in terms of like, let's go international rather than going wider?
Yeah. I think it was easier because we didn't have to develop new products. We we knew there was a market pull because we had customers from the US almost immediately. We knew there was a market fit, so our products were selling really, really well in the UK and in Europe. We had tested the financials and the operational side of things, this side of the Atlantic. So we knew quite confidently that we could go after the US with the same model. I think nowadays I have the resources to go into developing new range, exploring new species, and so on. But I do really love the fact that we are the guinea pig brand because there is no better way to be trusted as a brand than to be very niche and specialist. And you mentioned size and you said small. My ambitions were never very big for a long time. So to me, we were never small. We were big enough for what I was trying to do. In fact, we grew so quickly that even I was like, oh, okay, in fact, it's not small.
So did you ever look at sort of when you're starting, what is the sort of the full market potential of it? Or was it very much sort of something that kind of just grew organically from that sort of first pain point?
I think I often reflect about my niche, and I think I am creating a market, if I can say, because before me, no one was retailing premium products for guinea pigs, or small pets even. So if you are a guinea pig owner or small pet owner, there is very little option for you than buying something that is very cheap on Amazon or Temu or a big pet store. So my market is what I make of it, in a sense. If I'm able to develop and market a product that I sell for £800, that is, it is on me basically to make this happen. Innovation in my space has been almost zero for a very, very, very long time. So that gives me, a really big sandbox to play with.
Because essentially, when you're talking about it, when you said like, they are guinea pigs like dogs. I don't know anything about guinea pigs really, but one thing I do know a bit about is mini dachshunds, having a mini dachshund. And people go, I can see people go, oh, well, the dog market is a dog market. And I go, actually, probably the mini dachshund is a very clear, distinct part of the dog market. They probably need different products. They probably treat it differently by their owners, by the nature of their backs. They are more vulnerable. So actually, there's probably quite a big niche just looking at the mini dachshund market.
Yeah, and I think I feel like 20 years ago, guinea pigs didn't benefit from the same level of care and love from their owners. But nowadays, they are on an equal level field, with dogs and cats. If someone has guinea pigs or rabbits, they will care for them as much as they care for a dog or a cat. So the market is here, and they want great products. They want products they are proud and happy and they relate to. They want trends, they want quality, they want premium shape and lifestyle. And that's what I'm trying to do.
So for sort of other founders listening, it's kind of this taking the niche, that you've very much stuck to your niche in terms of you built a reputation, like better to be really relevant to, like 100% relevant than 1% relevant. What are some takeaways at having been in this niche for 10 years that you think other people would find useful?
I feel like focus is underrated, So many times people came to me and ask, why am I not trying something else, retailing for rabbits or rats or hamsters? And I kept saying to them, I am nowhere near having tapped my market. I know it, I can tell it from my numbers. And it would be a terrible move from a business point of view to spread myself thin. Bear in mind, I was bootstrapped, so there was not a lot going on in terms of money or talent. We were very lean for a long, long time. So had I made that move, I think it would have been a vanity move, and it would have probably killed the business or weakened it very, very quickly.
Yeah. So actually, I'm curious when you're saying that. Do you feel that there's often you look at market and go, okay, well, I can never get more than X% of my market. But it sounds like what you're saying is, A, that market number can change quite dramatically because you can create new products which dramatically change the potential. But I'm also wondering do you think your growth rate potentially can increase as your market sort of dominance increases because you get better known?
Absolutely.
So actually, rather than like slower growth, you might get faster growth?
Absolutely. So to give you an example, very quickly we realized, yes, I'm talking to a small group of people, but I can excite this small group of people about new products every 6 weeks or so, or every month, or every 3 weeks even. And if I'm able to come up with something that is really exciting on a regular basis, they will buy. They will, our retention game is extremely strong because we had no choice. We were talking to such a small group, and there are things like this I had to do very quickly, develop a strong retention ability. We have an amazing product development ability for a small business. We developed hundreds of products every year and launch them seamlessly on a monthly basis. We are global. We have global fulfillment abilities. And those are things that take years to acquire. And the beauty of this is that if one day I decide to leave my niche and conquer a bigger market, I have all those assets already. So I think I've walked a really difficult path, but it's going to pay off.
So apparently it's that the muscles you've honed as a business, you can use it in other places. But you've also got quite a strong moat in terms of it'd be very hard maybe to come into your market given audience loyalty, sort of expertise, ability to respond.
Yeah, I think, there's a reason why we're the only one. It's very difficult. It's niche. It's probably too small for most business. But the beauty of it is I never thought it was too small. Maybe naively, I thought it was going to be big enough. It was big enough for what I wanted to do. And when it wasn't big enough for what I wanted to do, I thought really hard about how to make it bigger. I think the beauty of having a business is that you can take it many places. You can transform it. You can make it evolve. You can try different things, right? And that's what excites me nowadays. Is like, okay, what can I do next if I want to take this to be like a multi 8-figure business? What does it take?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm using the wrong word, small, bad. Like, because obviously the business already is £1 million, sort of multi-million-pound business. But what feels quite interesting here is this sort of the potential to be like 8-figure and bigger, but also just how you put on before about how, as you're figuring out what excites you, that unlocks new sort of paradigms for the business.
Yes, and what I have learned with Kavee, with this niche, I feel like I can apply it elsewhere, whether within Kavee or, another brand. So to me, it was the best business school I've ever been. So yeah, I think I'm quite excited and confident about the future.
Even better than McKinsey.
In a different way, yes. It's been very hands-on. I define myself as an operator nowadays.
Yeah. McKinsey beaten out by guinea pigs. I love it. That's not going on the recruiting marketing into universities.
Well, they do say, I think 85% of like McKinsey alumni succeed at building a business, which tells you, there's something about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that right? Is it that high?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'll come back on it. Why do you think that is? Why so high?
We've seen it. We have, when you leave McKinsey, you have seen a lot of businesses, and I think you have seen a lot of, when you're a consultant, you're called in because something is going wrong. So I think you have a good sense of what not to do, in fact. And you are often very excited about business, as I was saying. It is something that is gets under your skin, basically. And I think the ability to convince, I can be very bullish. Like I can be very excited about like my prospects as an entrepreneur. And you need to convince people to like join in and do this with you. I always say I'm not on my own. Like I sit here alone in the studio, but that is such it's not the truth, I have 20 people helping me doing this. Yeah. And each of them I had to convince that this was a good idea.
It's quite interesting. I think maybe I discounted the power of that convincing, because I think that I've seen a danger sometimes with strategy, because like it's quite strategic, but not necessarily that practical. And therefore, sort of once you get into the doing, that sort of can sort of unpin some of the sort of the plans that look quite great on paper. But actually, I think that being able to convince people, whether it's from a funding perspective or a drawing, like that looking good on paper, but it's actually really important.
Yeah.
For convincing people to come with you on the journey.
Yeah, I think there is this. I think there's also creativity. Like I had to be extremely creative at times to navigate difficult situations. I still have. And at McKinsey, creativity is one of the core, skills they recruit for. Stress resistance is another one. McKinsey is extremely high stress environment, and you have to not only resist it, but even actually like it a little. And building my own business was the most stressful thing I have ever done. But I can see myself reacting under stress, and I can see how it unlocks, like something in me. I'm like, okay, this is like really, really, really risky, and I'm gonna need to find a solution,
Well, it always unlocks like a higher level of performance, like a bit more stress unlocks better performance, or better.
100%. I feel like, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I feel like physiologically, I can feel myself stressed, and I will literally be stressed for a couple of hours, and then my brain goes, okay, now we need a solution. Like we've allowed you a bit of time to be stressed about it. But the need for a solution doesn't go away. So, and I know, like I never walked away from my business, and I say that's because even if I had walked away from my business, I am certain I would find myself fighting the same situation down the line. So I might as well solve today's problem in a position to like walk away and come across the next problem in 10 years.
I think it can be tempting, kind of like that sort of that knowing when to stick and when to twist for entrepreneurs is really hard. Like when do you stay with the same product and just fight your way through the problem, or when is the problem a stage where actually this is not the right product or in business, and move on to the next one?
That is very true. And I think for me, it's been one of my blind spots, because we've been pioneering, in our niche. We were the first one, literally. But that was 8 years ago. And then at some point I walked into a room and my team was brainstorming the next campaign and the next ads. And I saw their messaging and I was like, hold on, guys. This was okay 8 years ago, but the world has changed so much. We have Temu, Amazon, a new competitor every week. It's never been easier and quicker to open an e-commerce store nowadays and to source things in China. And so what do we stand for, right? And no one could really answer that. And it's really hard when you're a market leader to stay on top of your game, because at some point you are going to, take things for granted, basically. Take your market for granted.
So how do you avoid, how do you keep that excitement? How do you keep that sort of, what keeps you Kavee?
Yeah, I think for me it was one very simple question. My resolution this year is to do the best at Kavee. So I want us to develop the best products, have the best campaign, have the best website, have the best visuals, work with the best colleagues, find the best collaborators. And just because it is what I want for myself, really. And if I apply this filter to what we are doing today, I would say 60% of it is not the best, right? And it gave us so much momentum. The moment we're asking, is this the best? No. Okay, so what is the best? It has unlocked so many things for us. But I feel like in the past, I could not afford to ask that question. I was like, I need to pay the bills. If I start wondering, is this the right color? Is this the right texture? Is this the best? I felt like I just needed to like come up with anything very quickly. I didn't maybe have the confidence to think that I could afford to demand something better, if that makes sense.
And what gives you now this confidence that you can?
It's just because it is what I want. I think at this stage of my life, I feel like I've done what I wanted with Kavee for the last 8 years. And when I look ahead, I'm more excited about saying we have led innovation to the next level. We have invented things that, the world had not seen. We have redefined how people care for small pets. We have created a market that didn't exist, an 8-figure market that didn't exist. Like, I'm more excited about this than saying, I have paid my bills and made a lot of money. Yeah.
Because it sounds like almost giving yourself permission to change what success looks like.
Yeah.
Is at the heart of this. So going.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I think it's like, how can Kavee be the most exciting business? That is the North Star. And if you really make it the most exciting business, you do not fear competition. Yeah.
Yeah, you're less looking over your shoulder, more like they're never going to catch me.
Well, because I'm not trying to beat anyone. It's purely an internal compass of, are we really excited about what we do? Not just me, but my team as well. Like, my ambition is to be market leader in the UK and in the US for small pets, but I also want to be a top 10% workplace in the UK. Attract the best people, give them the best working environment, a place that is inclusive, kind, collaborative, where everyone is doing their best work and learning. So, yeah.
How does this North Star, like being the best and being exciting, how does that allow the whole team to make decisions? Because that feels in some ways that's clear for you. But if everyone's defining exciting and best for them, how does that practically sort of play out within the team in terms of making decisions?
I feel like I've seen the team becoming more critical. So we are okay missing deadlines if something's not good enough. We are okay being, working with maybe less buffer, because we want to iterate on something until it's the best. I've seen my team achieve targets and say things to me like, yeah, but we could have done better. And I'm like, wow, well, we have achieved our targets, so we should be really happy. So, and I think if you give people the permission to be critical with themselves, you actually do not need to push them at all. So I can see my product developers coming back to me and saying, I've tried this and that, but I do feel like maybe there's a third version that will, be better. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with you. So I think people just need the permission to know that we want them to experiment. We want them to fail. I love it when we fail, because I'm like, the next thing is going to be really cool. Like, everyone wants to prove themselves at the end of the day and be proud of what they do.
This sounds like then quite a big change in how you're operating as a leader and how the business is operating, to go from, to give you permission to do this. Like you're saying, you can miss deadlines, you can reduce profitability. There's quite a few sort of knock-on effects from this change. Like, if we're going to move from a thing of traditional method of let's hit deadlines, let's hit target, let's hit do what we say, to let's focus on exciting. You've got to be giving your team permission to do that differently and maybe operating differently as a leader. I'm just wondering how you've done that.
I think it takes lots of courage. But I think I got to a point where I didn't want to be that founder anymore, who had to kind of push an entire organization towards deadline and entire organizations towards target. I think that there comes a time where it becomes bigger than one person can even handle, right? So if you don't have the right culture, you are going to struggle. I cannot drive this anymore. In fact, more and more, I feel like my role is to be in the room, to have the person who has the vision and has the ambition and explain how I want us to get there, But the rest is really, I have to be less and less involved. I have to be less and less needed, if that makes sense.
I think what I'm hearing is like, you're still very needed in terms of just what you're doing is different. So maybe you're in the room less, or you're in the room, but like contributing less, but maybe just creating the room is what you're doing.
Yes.
So like you're creating the environment and the culture and the permission, and like you're creating a culture of safety to do some of these things, because if you don't do that, you can go, oh, well, miss deadlines, hit profit, and then people do that, and profit's down. That's you can quite easily create. You can say one thing and do another, which will create cognitive dissonance. So it feels like what you're doing is shifted.
Yeah, I think it is really about creating a culture of safety, and honesty as well. You know, if we don't hit targets, I can't rescue it, right? So we are all collectively responsible for, you know, having a job in 6 months, basically. Yeah.
And what have you found? Like, so the theory is you can sort of let go a bit, create the culture of safety, empower your people, worry less about sort of like things happening on time and on budget to get like a better outcome. How has that actually played out for you in terms of the results?
Really well, in fact. Really, really well. I've seen changes that I didn't believe could be possible in such a short time. I think I tell my people, whatever you need, you can get it, as long as we can afford it, as long as we hit target. You know, like my role is solely to find the resources to make that happen. Set the bar, set the ambition, convince everyone that it is 100% achievable. And in fact, if I say we can reach 50 million, I'll say, you know what, maybe it's 80. Like, I am like, I know my market. I truly 100% believe in this. They see me working really hard as well. Like you know, like I'm all in. I do as much as I can always.
What does all in look like in this context? Because you're saying that you're trying to be you're trying to be in the room but not dominated as much.
Yeah, I think another shift as well, which has helped me a lot, is I'm not focusing on fixing what's going on today or even next week. I'm 6 months ahead. You know, I'm working on projects that are going to impact us 6-9 months ahead. And I'm always like, okay, I should have at least 2 to 3 moves that make me very confident about the business that will develop in 6 to 9 months. And always, I'm constantly like, what's the next thing? What's next in the pipeline, right?
It's really nice. I think a lot of founders get stuck in this kind of like this hero bit of like swooping in to save the day and like in the now. And actually, if you're doing your job, so like the shift into the future of going, almost your team almost aren't aware of all the work you're doing, because either you're removing problems they haven't even hit yet, or they're seeing the benefits. And that takes quite a lot of confidence again to go, I'm valuable, I'm doing valuable stuff. I don't need to be seen to be busy or in the moment, because actually I'm confident on creating value and more value this way.
Yeah, and I think my team values this because they don't like, I'm not the bottleneck. I'm not signing off on any word or image or video. I look at it. I give my opinion. I support them. I keep an eye on it. But I'm not the bottleneck. And I think hopefully they feel like they have earned my trust and my confidence, and they are autonomous and independent, and they can run the show, and they earn the credit for today's victory. But then equally, when we regroup, I can tell them something really incredible is on the horizon that I've been working on. And so we're in that very sweet spot of celebrating the present and getting excited about the future. But having been able to do that, I think that it's been such a gift for the organization, because yes, I was stuck in, are we going to make next week's targets for so long? Yeah. And
it sounds like it is quite a big shift, and you've just almost got to back yourself that that's going to happen? I imagine the first month or 2 months of making that change were a little bit uncomfortable.
I think if you have the right people, this will naturally happen. My team told me, like, you're the CEO, you should be thinking about what's happening in 6 to 12 months. And I was like, yeah, 100%. So let's do it.
Has it changed the way you hire people then? Because it sounds like you had your business for a long time. A lot of your team you'll have known for a long time. So you're making a change from a position of quite a lot of knowledge. But you're probably also adding people to the team with this kind of new approach in mind.
Yeah.
So has that changed what you look for in people or how you go about hiring people?
I try to hire the best, to be honest. I think there is the culture shift and the expertise. I am trying to build a tech business. E-commerce is a tech business, I'm trying to build a plane. I need engineers, I need mechanics, I need people who will be able to do things that I will never be able to do in my life. So a big part of my role is to find this talent. Yeah, 100%.
Having gone through this, what is like one thing that you think other founders could do today after listening to this episode?
I would like them to reflect on what is a gift you could give to your business. And by gift, I mean, what kind of resource can you give to your business? And there are the obvious ones like funding, financing, money, talents, support. But I think focus is a big one as well. So what does your business need that you can give it? Yeah. And if you don't have it, how can you find it? That is truly the core question to me.
And for you, that was focus?
It was focus, but not just focus. It was resources as a whole. Because if my focus is to find resources, whether it's talents or capital, then what we can achieve is limitless.
And what would you say your focus would have been before that then? So it's kind of like the business you can give a focus on is on getting these resources. What would have been pulling your focus before?
I think I was stuck in the weeds, I think we all have very busy lives, and I would open my calendar and be like, oh, I have to, I guess, answer my emails and do my one-on-ones, and now I'm like a bit more rebellious with my to-do list. I'm like, is there anything in that to-do list that is helping the business today, right now, in 5 days, in 5 months? And if the answer is no, I go off-piste. And I'm like, no, instead, let me reach out to this, to this bank or to this person on LinkedIn, or let me listen to this founder's interview who's going to help me think about how to grow the business. Like, I'm really like hyper focusing on what does the business need and how can I unlock it? Yeah. So
I love that. Okay, really, if you were just giving yourself permission to be free, to just going,
yeah,
I now know what I think. I now know what's going to create value for the business. I don't want to spend my time on that.
Yeah.
And if I'm not doing it, then I need to figure out where I can do it.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, I feel like it's really easy to blame external factors or even internal factors for your business not growing. And my business wasn't growing for the best part of 2 years. And it was a case of, yes, we had the tariffs. Yes, we had the pandemic. Yes, we had this and that, right? But if I'm truly honest, I think I didn't understand some fundamentals about what a business needs to grow. And it's you need to fuel the machine, right? You need to give them something to work with, whether it's new products, a marketing budget, a really cracking leadership team. Like, are you actually giving your business something to, a chance to grow? Or are you just hoping it will happen with a bit of this and a bit of that and hoping, right?
I love that. So the whole thing about like taking back control, it's kind of like...
Yeah, taking back control. And I think you need to be relentless about getting to where you're trying to get to. Like, I was ambitious. I was always ambitious, but I think I wasn't I was ambitious metaphorically, like I don't think I was ambitious in my action. I don't think my actions reflected my ambition, because you can't grow an 8-figure business without having an amazing product pipeline, without an amazing leadership team, without having access to capital if you need it. So I think there was some wishful thinking somewhere in the middle.
Amazing. I love that. Ambitious actions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Clem, thank you so much for sharing that today. It has been enlightening.
Thank you, Gigi.
Such a good episode today with Clem. As ever, if you liked it, press subscribe on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, and come back either next Monday for a Peer Effect Postbag episode with Freddie, or a guest episode on Wednesday. Send us any questions at hello@peer-effect.com. And in the meantime, thanks for listening and happy scaling.